And I said, bro, I don't think you're supposed to put it in there. Excuse me, there's been a terrible injury at this football match. We need an ambulance. We are on our way. I can't lie, bro. This is taking way too long. Don't worry, we'll be there soon. I knew I should have just been a vet, man.
A ambulância passando agora pelo campo de jogo. E o jogo tá rolando. O árbitro não parou o jogo, acho que ele não viu.
What do you mean no one's injured anymore? We got here as quick as we could. Oh, okay, Christ, we hit someone. Jane, go get the stretcher. Yo guys, it is your boy Newman here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a mystery going on. It's time for CSI Windsor, mate. Right, everybody, I've gathered you here because there's a serious crime. This is no minor issue. Well, I guess that rules out Prince Andrew then, hey. Kate Middleton appears to have gone missing. She's not been seen for a while after recent surgery, certainly in the public eye anyway. But the royal family released a picture of her healthy and well with her kids this week, only for it to be clearly doctored and or AI generated. What are they trying to hide here? The guy who made this edit, by the way, is finito when the royal family find out about this as he drives through rush hour traffic. To be honest with you guys, don't worry, I've got an exclusive picture here and I think she looks absolutely fine. One man on Twitter said the Queen was really keeping the palace together. I think personally Michael Elise will have a word to say about that though.
A thing of wonder to seal the deal.
On to the football though now, and in the Champions League, Arsenal raised their fans' cholesterol levels, but did end up victorious, knocking out Porto in the round of 16 stages, and their celebrations were absolutely wild to say they made it into the final 8. Do you really think we celebrate too much? Nah, bro, I reckon they're over-exaggerating. Yeah, alright, fairs. Well, how long till the Uber? Oh, it's already here. Yes, come on, get in there, lads. Champion. Now, Porto fans arrived in North London draping scarves over the Arsene Wenger statue, something that could never end well, really. But if Arsenal legends were in Porto shirts, Mika Richards was in an Arsenal one. The streets were saying he looked like Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV here, struggling when Thierry Henry challenges him to a race to the back of the stadium. There was the development of Declan Rice, quite literally shitting himself out on the pitch.
Oh no. Phil.
Porto officials were getting spicy, slipping laxatives into his Ribena before kickoff. And True Geordie will be on the way down to London when he sees this. Bukayo Saka, by the way, absolutely shambolic performance. He looked like a completely different man out there this week. But two individuals that are the same man were Leandro Trossard and the referee here. This is Trossard, but with over 6 hours of kip a night. But for Porto, and as things were level on aggregate, Pepe at the back was holding things down. He was still performing, even with a hip replacement, bro. Pepe is Mikel Arteta's age. Mikel, you need to start respecting your elders. Well, he didn't respect Sergio Conceição's elders, as the Porto manager came out and said that allegedly Mikel had made fun of his family in Spanish from the bench. And Conceição's parents have both tragically passed away early on in his life. Things were getting heated between the two at full time, though Sergio has said this about, like, Thomas Tuchel and about Pep Guardiola as well. So I don't know whether they've got a group chat going on to take the piss out of this guy or...
Suck your mum, yeah, I said it, suck your mum.
Suck your mother.
But with the scoreline equal, it would go to penalties. AFTV was so nervous it looked like they were waiting to take a penalty. Aaron Ramsdale couldn't concentrate for an entire 10 penalties in a row, so had other means in which to keep himself occupied.
I'm finished, I can't do it.
But in the end, his goalkeeping counterpart would be the hero here. David Raya saved 2 penalties to take Arsenal through to the quarterfinals. There was some respect in the crowd, though, between Gunners and Porto supporters doing a shirt swap at full time. You can't be doing this, though, guys. You can't be acting like you played the full 90 minutes. Meanwhile, for Thierry Henry, and he knew that Porto's final penalty taker was going to miss.
You knew what was coming.
So I left.
You can't tell from
Oh, he knows. That man knows ball.
At full time, though, and it was Thierry Henry's co-workers making the headlines.
Wear it next, and for the last part, you've got to wear it.
And I'm loyal. I'm loyal.
To who?
My jacket
Manchester
looks nice,
United,
big man.
thank you
My
very
jacket
much.
looks nice.
Not to Malik.
What? Why would you even say that?
Sorry?
He hasn't had a mention in the show yet, has he?
What was this man thinking, bro?
I'm recoiling watching that. It is disgusting.
You can't condone that behaviour.
Jamie Carragher found himself in hot water after insinuating that Kate Abdo wasn't faithful to her partner live on air. And you can see the exact moment he realised that he was done.
I would just stop it there. We go in a little bit closer.
This is me after explaining the regista role to a girl that I'm chatting to, knowing that she's just got the ick. Richard Keys was absolutely fuming, saying that Jamie had absolutely gone too far live on TV. Richard Keys saying that you've gone too far, by the way.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
Jamie will be quick to get the apologies out, it's fair to say, but I don't think an apology's gonna save him when Malik turns up to the CBS studio tomorrow. The only explanation, by the way, is Thierry Henry paid him to say that. This man is not giving up on his work wife, and Jamie was happy to go along with it until realising that he's Deontay Wilder's trainer, and now he's got to do some training before a 6-round encounter with Kate's fiancé. The CBS Dream Team is done, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a good day. Jamie may well be CBS royalty, but in this case, it's Kate Middleton, as he's hoping that he can disappear from the face of the earth. Well, that's what it looked like until the day after, when Kate Abdo and the rest of the crew somehow managed to save the situation, calling Thierry Henry an older brother, which I'm sure he'll absolutely love, Jamie Carragher an annoying middle child, and Micah Richards the younger, louder bro that everybody loves. I mean, look, the situation's sorted. I think Jamie Carragher just got far too carried away, tried to get something to land that had absolutely no chance of making it onto the runway whatsoever, and probably just went a little bit too far. But hey, at least Kate saw the funny side of it in the end. Now, back domestically, and there was a potential Premier League title decider, but if anything, it blew the title race even further open, as Liverpool and Manchester City drew at the Etihad. The only winner here? Arsenal. This one ended 1-1, but the controversy came in the final moments, as Liverpool were denied a penalty for this challenge from Jeremy Doku.
He could have been killed.
Now look, listen, this one was investigated by VAR, but to be honest with you, I think it needed to be investigated by a whole different sport. The boot was high, and although there was some level of connection to the ball, I think Alexis McAllister even got to it first. But either way, from a different angle, and it seemed pretty clear cut.
Don't like you. Your own watch don't like you if you don't like us.
Diogo Jota was left unhappy over on Twitter, maybe forgetting about his kick versus Tottenham. But the thing is, that was given as a foul, which means this should have been given as a penalty. Mike Dean on commentary duty thought it was a penalty until the referees didn't think it was a penalty, and then he just agreed with the referees. Meanwhile, I'm looking forward to Manchester City announcing their new kit for the season, and Manuel Akanji will be left looking unconcerned when he turns up for Man City's next training session. Sky Sports did an interview with Kyle Walker where he praised referee Michael Oliver for not crumbling under the pressure and giving Liverpool a penalty. To be fair, Kyle Walker's done well not to crumble under the pressure of having to provide for 2 families at the same time. Look, pro-ref propaganda seems dangerous. I don't even care who it benefits or hurts, but I think the overall consensus is that should definitely have been a pen. So why are we getting a player that directly benefited from that to come out and praise refs? They have been shocking all year to everybody. We've benefited from it. Other teams have been shafted way more, like Nottingham Forest, like Wolves. Now is really not the time to be giving referees flowers. It's appalling. This, though, of course, was Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp's last dance in the Premier League, and that makes me want to end my existence. Trent Alexander-Arnold had some interesting comments before kickoff, saying that because Man City probably won a lot more, basically, it means more to Liverpool. Man City fans reckon that was going to make Erling Haaland angry.
Oh, shiver my timbers. Shut up, man.
Though it did start well for Man City, with a corner taken quickly by Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite saying. That's my favorite saying.
Luis Diaz's missus had Liverpool fans planning to kidnap his dad again, because honestly, the guy was very wasteful in front of goal. He was too busy scanning for his dad in the crowd, trying to work out whether he was taking cocaine in the VIP box. Harvey Elliott and Phil Foden were going chav for chav. El Chavico outside Mackey's car park, mate. This was a serious one. City's wingbacks were getting caught out 1v1. Kyle Walker needed to dedicate to a decision, his family or his mistress. No, I mean, with Liverpool applying pressure, Ederson provided a howler, and Alexis McAllister would equalise for Liverpool. Kevin De Bruyne was surprisingly brought off by Pep Guardiola. He clearly did not agree with the decision. You don't even own shampoo, boss. How will you bring it? I'm not surprised the guy was fuming. He misheard and thought that Hendo was turning up for their game, not the Japanese and better version.
You're not Jim. Jim's not Asian.
You seriously never noticed? Hey, hats off to you for not seeing race.
Now, Chelsea got the better of an out-of-form at Newcastle with a 3-2 win at Stamford Bridge. Blues fans were still frustrated, though, as they watched Raheem Sterling bear down on goal with an easy square opportunity to make.
Sterling, pass it back. He's there. He's on side. Pass it to him. Sterling, he's on side.
Pass it to him. Fucking idiot!
But in the end, it didn't matter because of Cole LaShawn Palmer. He once again bagged goal contributions here and is having an unbelievable season. And after the game, Tim Sherwood decided he's basically the only good player at Chelsea.
All you need is some players to play with. I know you can't say that, but I'm saying it. I just think you need more quality around you. For me, he needs to build the team around you.
Yeah, there's a lot of quality there. Like, not just me.
What is he supposed to say to this question, by the way? Yeah, you know what, actually? Rest of the team's wank lad. Tim's moving like an undercover fed here. I don't appreciate this. And Cole won't either when he finds out he's actually a police officer.
Oh, man. Bond the bacon, man.
Mikhailo Mudryk grabbed the final Chelsea goal and celebrated wildly. Now, I'm not even gonna lie, it's actually an unreal finish here. And with that result, they stay 11th. Wait, stay 11th? How were they not in the top half? They're never beating the second page allegations. As for Newcastle, and Anthony Gordon was struggling to get involved during this one and then went down injured, only for the physio to put him out for a year. This physio's an Everton fan, surely. United beat Everton comfortably 2-0 here. The goals came through penalties, the second of which coming from Marcus Rashford, and Diogo Dalot conducted his celebration for him. That's the first person to touch Marcus's head since that trip to Belfast. 2 penalties and 2 different takers, you know. We were 1 more spot kick away from Eric Ten Hag running on.
I didn't call him Baldy.
At Villa, and they suffered a heavy defeat to Champions League rivals Tottenham. 4-0 the scoreline here, helped massively as far as Spurs are concerned by a John McGinn red card. He's gone, McGinn, now. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, guy. Ange Postecoglou was quoted as saying he's over-aggressive, dangerous and violent, and that's just his assessment of Christian Romero in training. Meanwhile, life wasn't always so great for Arsenal this week, as a Aaron Ramsdale howler almost lost them vital ground in the title race to Brentford. Someone honestly just give him a Nintendo Switch to keep him occupied when he loses concentration. If he had Apple glasses and he's playing Minecraft as players come forward, he's a new man. Meanwhile, for this game, and Brentford Ultras planned to create a wall of smoke using disposable vapes. I don't know what they were expecting here. Martin Odegaard to just sit down in defeat when he was hoping for a smell of watermelon ice instead of blueberry raz. Now, back to the Champions League, and Inter faced off against Atletico Madrid. Another game, another tie that went the distance. And in the end, an absolutely shocking penalty from Lautaro Martinez would be the difference maker here. Now, look, listen, you killed the person, Gonzalo Higuain, but not the ideology. Lautaro Martinez is having a great season in Serie A with Inter, but this penalty was a disaster. Before the spot kick, stubborn Atleti manager Diego Simeone was stressed after Rodrigo Raquelme missed. Meanwhile, Marcus Thuram was causing stress of a different kind, grabbing defender Stefan Savic's balls. But clearly, VAR didn't give a shit. Either that or it's got an age lock on it. Yeah, now, mate, that's 18 plus activity. Can't do anything there, I'm afraid. At Barcelona versus Napoli, and the Catalan side secured their place in the final 8 after an overall aggregate victory over the reigning Serie A champions. Now, their results here are the exact same as the last time they faced Napoli in the knockout stages, a tie that occurred just before their 8-2 slapping at the hands of Bayern Munich. Barca fans, it ain't looking good.
Big man thing, yeah.
Now, before the game, Napoli's chairman promised a £10 million bonus to every single player if they made it through to the quarterfinals here. Victor Osimhen will be charging at his chairman when they do go through, but he finds out he's only going to get paid in Nigerian naira. If I'm the chairman after making that promise, I'm moving my goalkeeper out of his net by force when I realise I'm close to cashing out 110 million. But young centre-back Pau Subazi was one of the heroes here. Yet another La Masia youngster who's come through the ranks at Barca and looks right at home in Europe's Premier competition. And now, after that performance, ready to get back for a shift at the La Masia sweatshop. I, for one, though, I'm just looking forward to the next round of the draw. Although I've got to say, the draw being conducted in Glasgow was an interesting choice. Meanwhile, Borussia Dortmund joined Barca in the final 8 after a convincing victory over PSV. Jadon Sancho was instrumental here in bringing his side to the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Manchester United went out of a group bottom that had Copenhagen and Galatasaray in it. On England duty now, and Gareth Southgate has announced his new squad. Ben White was asked to be a part of it, but actually said no. This man sacked off the 3 Lions. No cat. And Benjamin appeared pretty vocal about turning down the opportunity over on Twitter. Look, listen, the guy doesn't even like football. Why would he want to play even more of it? He'd rather be on a sunbed in Marbella, offering a different kind of white over in Ibiza. Meanwhile, Kobbie Mainoo's got to be wondering what he's got to do to get in this side over Jordan Henderson, sat in the car, listening to the radio at home after finding out he wasn't getting the call Lola. Who am I kidding, man? He's too young to drive. Now, Bournemouth conducted an unbelievable comeback against Luton. The Cherries were 3-0 down at half-time, but came back to win 4-3 late on with the help of Antoine Semenyo. Now, women across the world will be rushing to comfort Rob Edwards after this disappointing result. If I'm Luton, by the way, here, right? 3-0 up and I still lose? Get me relegated, bruv. And if I'm Rob Edwards, trust me, I'm doing all I can at the end of the game to try and get a job at Bournemouth instead of getting relegated with the Hatters.
The Cherries.
At Brighton, though, now... I don't care if he's not even played for them yet. They've got to get him out of there. He's looking like M.R, mate. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer appeared on the Overlap on Sky Sports doing some analysis with the likes of Gary Neville and Roy Keane. He was talking about his spell in charge at Manchester United and got onto the topic of Fred, saying that the Brazilian gave him a 7 or 8 out of 10 every single week, to which Roy Keane checked whether he'd had his drink spiked. Now, over in Spain and at Barcelona, Lamine Yamal is not age 16, according to a Girona fan page. They've apparently done some digging into a newspaper article and also into school records.
Check his hard drive.
I've come to the conclusion that due to wearing an extremely old kit in a picture in the news, he's like 20 instead of 16. This was him 4 years ago. Yeah, nah, he looks about 27 to me here. Look at this exclusive footage of Lamine playing at the 1934 World Cup. You know what? They might have been onto something actually, because I found a picture of him and Luka Modric in the youth academy together. This is what Lamine Yamal looked like 20 years ago. Do you feel old yet? At Villarreal, and they've had schools suspended in the local area ahead of their Europa League tie against Marseille. That's because of the sheer amount of fan presence and suspected dangers around in the local area. Imagine you're a kid living near the stadium. You're trying to do an English lit lesson. Wait, no, why would they be doing English in Spain? You're trying to do GCSE geography and the ultras come crashing through the window. The poor dinner ladies at lunch are not going to know what hit them when a flare gets absolutely launched into the canteen. At Real Madrid now, and you would expect a club of their size, of their grandeur, to offer seriously good food. Doesn't matter whether you're in a VIP box. Anyone can get it, surely. Well, clearly not, because they're charging €10 for this bacon cheeseburger. That bacon's still oinking, bruv. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen. Someone get the dinner lady back again. And of course, Real Madrid faced off against Valencia last week. It was a dramatic game that also saw a horrendous injury for Mukhtar Diakabi. And Valencia players and fans alike had their tributes and shirts for the Frenchman. Once again, hopefully we'll see him back on the pitch sooner rather than later. Now, over in Germany, and Bayern were back to winning ways. They were munching here, and I'm not talking about their home city. They beat Mainz 8-1 in this game, an absolute destruction, and Barca fans were watching Bayern score 8, getting PTSD. Harry Kane now has 30 Bundesliga goals. The guy is quite literally stat padding. Meanwhile, for Mainz, and their manager had a clear message for Thomas Tuchel at half-time. They tweeted at 7-1 down, saying this is how Brazil must have felt back in the 2014 World Cup. But with the scoreline how it was in the end, I think a new name is going to be needed for these lot. Right, listen, you know, I know it's been a bad day, yeah, but you need to make sure you're still having food. Have you ate? Have I ate? Oh, sorry, no. So I thought you meant the scoreline for a second. Third Division Saarbrücken did a madness in the DFB Pokal again. They, of course, knocked out Bayern Munich, one of the biggest DFB Pokal upsets of all time, earlier on in the competition with a last-minute winner. Then they knocked out Bundesliga Eintracht Frankfurt. Well, they've done it again, claiming another top-tier scalp as they beat Borussia Mönchengladbach to reach the Final Four. A semi-finals that sees all teams left in the competition that haven't won anything in absolutely ages. One of those teams is Leverkusen. They dismantled Wolfsburg this week, having more touches in the opposition's half or penalty area than Sheffield United have all season in one game. Meanwhile, in Italy, and Inter are now 18 points clear. This is like a COVID season. Just wrap it up early. We don't need to carry on. Oh, finally, Lautaro's penalties landed. Inter really have grabbed Serie A by the balls, and that's just Marcus Thuram's role. Meanwhile, at Lecce, there were mental scenes as their manager was sacked for headbutting an opponent's striker. Lecce, who are just above the relegation zone, saw tensions rise as they lost 1-0 to fellow mid-tablers Verona. Well, their manager saw red and Bluetoothed his forehead into French striker Thomas Henry. Who's the best French player of all time? Zinedine Zidane. Yeah, pow. He was quoted as saying at full time, Mamma mia. And in France, Kylian Mbappe is suing a kebab shop owner for using his surname as one of the products. A product that describes itself as round as his head shape is. If I'm Kylian, I'm fuming, reading that he's had his head labelled as a 10p coin. At Montpellier, and only 2 fans made the 7-hour round-trip journey to face OGC Nice, and they were rewarded with their side winning. Sorry, mate, by the way, sorry, you're in my seat. Are you taking the piss? And finally, at Lille, Eden Hazard opened up a new training ground at the club where he made a name for himself, saying that the rules were to play proper football and to break ankles with your dribbling ability. The physios will be devastated hearing this news. Now that it's time for your goals of the week, we got some more sensational strikes for you. And we start with an absolute rocket from West Brom. Take about OK Yokuzlu. This goal is a little bit more than OK.
Wriggle room there. The strike from Yokuzlu is an absolute thunderbolt.
We head over to Italy for the second goal as Dani Motta has brought out the acrobatics, scoring with this scissor kick from distance. And finally, if we're talking about distance, there's no better place to go than the A-League. It's a long journey over there. Terry Antonis has let one fly from a different postcode.
Here's a cheeky one. Oh, my words! That just sums it up.
Now, in Saudi Arabia, an Al Nassr were beaten by Al Ain this week in an absolute classic of a game. 4-3 the final score, and then it went to penalties in which Al Nassr lost, in thanks part to their goalkeeper having an absolute stinker, and also to Cristiano Ronaldo at the other end with the worst miss of his career. And Al Nassr fans were fuming at Ron at big time. I mean, how could he possibly miss from there? A Saudi under-23 player was giving him advice at full time on how to actually hit the back of the net properly. Ron wasn't listening. And in the penalty shootout, Alex Tellez, amongst others, missed their penalties to send Al Nassr crashing out. Ron's been stealing all the penalties in training, so they don't actually know how to conduct a shootout. Now there is time for still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and a little bit earlier than scheduled this week. And that's because Sunday League football has provided an unbelievable story this time around. The worst Sunday League team in the country needed some extra help. And who did they draft in? R9. Yeah, this video is a great watch, I can't lie. As an amateur manager tries to motivate big Ron here, R9, to actually do something, it isn't looking good. He spends half of it on his phone, does not give a shit, and in the end arrived purely to do one Rabona and then leave. Now, speaking of skill, and elsewhere in South America, we've got a sensational Panenka penalty being scored here in a shootout, only to lead to direct aggression from the goalkeeper. He wasn't happy with being chipped like that, and an absolute chaos breakout from there. In Uzbekistan now, and don't jokingly kick your opponent is probably the advice I can give any aspiring footballer today. Why? Hang on a second. His teammate has had to push him onto the ground for him to make the most of it. The ref was already backing out the red card, mate. He didn't even need to do that. Yeah, that's it's an interesting tackle. I'll give you that one, mate. Over in Croatia, and now, look, there's a last-minute penalty to be taken, all right? This is going to decide the game. It's high stakes, it's high pressure. What you don't want to add to that situation if you're the penalty taker is the pitch looking like it was harvested 3 weeks ago. How are these acceptable conditions for this penalty to be taking place? Either way, as you can imagine, it was saved only for the goalkeeper to injure himself in the process and full time to be called there and then. Actually wasn't full time, he just called it off for a waterlogged pitch. But if you thought that miss was crazy, then check this out from Montreal versus Miami in the MLS, where the US's top flight continues to not be a real league.
Kokoro! What defending!
But he will go right to the very bottom.
Jordan Henderson is acclimatizing to his time in the Netherlands, shall we say. He put out a pretty stinky performance, according to Dutch media, and they were pretty upfront with him about it after full time at Ajax.
Of the season since you're here, and maybe your worst performance?
No, because we didn't lose.
Over in the Egyptian Cup final now, and they spent the big bucks to get Jose Mourinho to bring out the trophy before the game started, alongside Daniele De Rossi in a kit of one of the clubs taking part, and R9, Ronaldo, fresh from his trip to a Sunday League match. What in the polar bear in Arlington? Ralf Rangnick has dropped 3 Austrian players from the national team after they were seen chanting anti-LGBT chants this week, which I respect. I think it's good to actually see some accountability or some actual action being taken when it comes to players acting foolishly. We don't see that enough, especially on an international stage. Meanwhile, over in Brazil and at Internacional, And in Poland, rules seem to be a little bit more lenient when it comes to goalkeepers handling the ball outside of the area. Yeah, fuck it, I'll just take it to the halfway line, you know. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back, by popular demand, for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, closer to home, and with Burnley 2-0 up against West Ham, David Detro Fofana had scored, and he was happy with himself, retweeting his goal at half-time on Twitter, only for his side to bottle it and draw 2-2. Yeah, probably should have waited till full-time there, mate, to be honest with you. Speaking of West Ham, and David Moyes has hired his son as a scout at the club, David will be taking absolutely no prisoners when his lad recommends signing Gianluca Scamacca for a second time.
Look, that's not my son.
At Charlton, they do like a customary tunnel celebration to introduce the players before a game. Alfie May will not want to watch his back, I'm not gonna lie. And something else that won't want to be watched back is this corner from Swansea. Maybe the worst of all time. Yeah, just slap it into the box next time, guys, not gonna lie. Meanwhile, there was an unorthodox fan at Stoke's journey to Preston as their fans took a donkey to the town. For what reason, I don't know, but they got the badge in, at least, so there's that. In South Africa, and the great Shabalala, the man who scored that iconic goal at the World Cup of 2010, recreated his celebration on South African TV this week. Over in Brazil, and the anti-Puskás award has to go to this absolutely shambolic effort. It doesn't get much better over in Iran and at Nasaji, where they're leading till the final minute, where their goalkeeper decides to indulge in some match fixing.
This is corruption, this is a theft.
In Kenya, and the police bullets team decided to celebrate by being the police and shooting some bullets. Mr. Beast didn't seem impressed at his trip to Miami to watch Lionel Messi's Interside in the MLS. Can't wait for his next video. Yo guys, and today we're giving growth hormones to every small man on the planet. In El Salvador, and with a match 3-2 finally balanced and the ball about to loop in for the equalizer, shout out Alejandro Frazotti for bringing out his best Luis Suarez impression. I get him a volleyball contract immediately because that's a decent hit. In Japan, and Kawasaki here became the ultimate backstabber. In Estonia, and a defender was sent off after 20 minutes in their league and decided to become an ultra, become one with the fans and jump into the stands to support the rest of his teammates. At Cork City, and with Kylian Mbappe winning an Oscar this week for his part to play in Oppenheimer, they decided to give out free tickets for anyone with the first name Kylian. And down at Stourbridge in the lower leagues of English football, they are 1-0 up, down to 9 men, and with only a couple of minutes to go, it's time to activate ultimate time wasting. On to the weird stuff though now. First of all, there's a developing story that I've kind of told you about before, coming from Cameroon, where a number of their players have been banned over allegations that they've been lying about their ages. They include Wilfred Nathan Douala here from Victoria United, a midfielder who was kind of seen as one of the most up-and-coming Cameroonian players in the country, who claimed to be 17 years old. Look, I don't think we need an investigation into whether this man is lying about his age or not. He's got 14 tattoos, a receding hairline, and a national insurance number. There's nothing more that needs to be done here, Cameroon. And finally, we head over to Cambodia, of all places, where Visaka FC are currently competing in the Cambodian Premier League and the country's cup. Well, they were, until they decided to withdraw at the semi-final stage as they were dissatisfied with the competition's refereeing standards. So they've had a few decisions go against them, and they've decided, you know what, lads, we're sacking this off and getting out of here. The Premier League would have about 3 teams left in it if English teams did the same. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.